We know now from leaked intelligence reports that the Liberal Party received help in multiple elections from the communist government in Beijing, which wanted to keep the Prime Minister in place. We know that his top campaign officials, like Katie Telford, would have been aware of this help, and we need to know exactly what she knew and what the Prime Minister knew. Only she can answer these questions, but only the leader of the NDP will decide. He is the deciding vote. So the question for him is, will he help his boss, the Prime Minister, cover up, or will he vote for the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff to testify? Which is it?
Welcome to Orange Wave, your source for everything related to the NDP. I am your host, Will Adams. Today, we are going to talk about a recent circus that occurred in the House of Commons. The clip I played was Pierre yesterday. He's trying to act like he's finally put on his big boy pants and wants to actually get things done. However, this is yet again just MAGA Polyev making a MAGA fool out of himself, as always. I actually can't understate it here. If we turned the House of Commons and Parliament into a sport league where the main goal of it is to be transparent, honest, and responsible, I can count penalties for the Conservative Party instantly for not only stealing the NDP's ideas and claiming it as their own, but I also cry foul for throwing Jagmeet Singh and the NDP under the bus for no reason. But it's Pierre Poilievre we're talking about here, and you can't really expect anything different. His whole strategy as of late has been bringing up an issue that affects Canadians, primarily cost of living based. He blames Jagmeet Singh or Justin Trudeau for those problems, and he offers no solutions of his own to actually deal with said problems. So it's just another prime example of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party doing mental gymnastics to overcompensate for the fact that they are incapable of governing. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have been hyping up the fact that they wanted to force a motion vote on making a Liberal MP testify about Chinese election interference. They held that vote today, but before so, in the past week, they had attacked Jagmeet Singh for no reason, going as far as to say that he'd be, quote, siding with Trudeau if he didn't vote yes, which, I might add, is their excuse for literally everything. Although putting on a show of theatrics that only would have ended up paying off if he ended up voting no, they ended up making a complete ass out of themselves, unsurprisingly, as Jagmeet Singh ended up voting yes to the motion. And he called it out like it was in a press conference that happened not that long after. This clip comes from CTV News. Take a listen.
This committee has turned into a circus in a lot of ways. We look at the Conservative approach. They're not serious about getting work done. They're not serious about holding the government to account beyond just attacking the government and throwing mud. They're not interested in protecting our democracy. We had a vote today that could have happened today on a public inquiry. We gave the Conservatives heads up. We let them know it was going to happen. We would have had a vote in Parliament on a public inquiry. They blocked it. They're not interested in getting to the truth. And the committee is not the best path to actually deal with these serious questions. We believe in a public independent inquiry is the path. But there's some questions that Canadians need answered, and there's some people that should be coming before committee, and we made that happen. But for an exhaustive list, that should happen in a public independent inquiry, not in committee.
So how do you, I guess, explain the fact that it looks like the NDP are giving cover for the Liberals?
Well, that's false. That's a Conservative narrative. The reality is the Conservatives... The narrative, it's not your narrative, it's a Conservative narrative. The Conservative narrative is this. They make it sound like they care about a public inquiry. We had a chance to vote on it today. Literally today, we could have voted on a public inquiry with the opposition parties pushing forward a public inquiry. They blocked it. We made the Chief of Staff of Justin Trudeau testify in committee. We made that happen. We forced it to happen. We've shown that the Conservatives are useless because they are useless. They've been useless in the pandemic. They've been useless in this minority government. They haven't done a thing for Canadians to make their lives better. We have consistently been the ones to try to protect our democracy, to try to deliver real help for Canadians, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you so much.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. The gloves are off. Not only did Jagmeet Singh just roast the Conservatives moments after schooling a journalist, but he brought up the facts of the matter. The cons have made the entire thing partisan to the point that Canadians can't take the potential very real story seriously. They wanted committee over public inquiry, and they're only making the situation actively worse by requesting so. The NDP wanted a public inquiry, so that way true accountability could be in place. The Conservatives, however, decided to just make the entire thing a huge waste of everyone's time. I want to mention two things. First off, the cons love to blame the NDP for all the problems Canadians face, unjustly, I might add, not mentioning how every recent accomplishment that the Liberals have taken credit for, from free dental care for kids under 12 to $10 a day daycare, were all accomplished because the NDP punched well above their weight. The Conservatives, however, do not believe in $10 a day daycare, let alone universal health care of any kind. They voted against all of that. Jagmeet Singh donated $6 million to help small businesses during the pandemic. And I definitely do not recall Pierre Poilievre helping anyone during the pandemic. At all. Pierre Poilievre has never helped anyone, period. Jagmeet Singh, however, has a history of being an unbelievably generous and kind-hearted man, donating to pro-women, pro-LGBT rights, and pro-drug decriminalization groups, since before he was even an MP, back when he was just a humble lawyer. Well, Pierre Poilievre, I guarantee he's never even donated to a Salvation Army box you'd see at the damn mall during Christmas time. The Conservatives have also talked a lot about Chinese election interference and the Chinese government having police stations in Canada stealing Chinese Canadians from their homes and sending them back to China. But they're not being honest with you, because the interference we're seeing today is actually their fault. It was made possible when then Prime Minister Stephen Harper signed a shady backdoor deal with China into law. We are locked into said deal for 31 years and Canadians still do not know all the details to it. Signed in secret in 2014, Pierre Poilievre sure as hell was not against it, as he voted in support of it, as did many other currently sitting legacy MPs in the Conservative Party. He's only using this to attack Justin Trudeau like he does with everything else because he doesn't actually want to deal with the real problems we're facing. He instead just wants to attack anyone who disagrees with him because it makes him money, it makes him look smarter than he actually is, and it overcompensates for the fact that he's completely incapable of governing a country, let alone a student government board at a school. The majority of Canadian voters probably agree with me on this. Pierre Poilievre's approval ratings have dropped to a nearly abysmal 57% in the first 3 months alone of him being leader of the Conservatives. Even Aaron O'Toole was still in the 40% bracket at this point. This paints the picture that the Conservative Party isn't even offering any worthwhile policy ideas or any solutions to problems, but instead are campaigning on how anti-Trudeau they think the leader could be. The embarrassing results have shown. The voters don't think the Convoy Party is worth voting for, nor do they think that the cons have anything to offer the country. They think that the cons are a laughingstock. It is both hilarious and disappointing at the same time. The Conservative Party, the right-wing establishment media, and everyone else associated, including Pierre Poilievre, they're getting desperate. They understand this. They understand that no matter what they do, no matter how many lies that they push onto Canadians, that Canada in 2025 belongs to the juggernaut, and that there's nothing that they can do to stop the orange wave that is about to wipe them out in title. After Jagmeet Singh becomes Prime Minister, which he will become Prime Minister, by the way, the Conservative Party of Canada and Pierre Poilievre himself will be laughably irrelevant. And it'll be then when Canadians can sleep at night knowing that they have real leadership. They will have leadership who will be fighting for us in the House of Commons, and they will actually be solving real problems. 2025 does not just mark the start of Jagmeet Singh as the Prime Minister, but it also marks the start of an NDP dynasty in the country. Because the provinces are sick of the Conservatives and Liberals too, and they are going to vote orange. They are going to vote for the NDP in the provincial elections. And although the Ontario NDP, the British Columbia NDP have their problems, if we vote for them, they can improve, just like the federal NDP has. We need to start giving people a chance. And that is exactly what we are going to do with Jagmeet Singh as our Prime Minister. Thank you for listening to this episode of Orange Wave. I am your host, Will Adams. I hope you have an amazing day, and remember, Jagmeet Singh loves you.